Most people over 50 think about cancer the same way they think about a car breakdown. Something that either happens to you or it doesn't, and you'll deal with it when it does. That's not how any of this works. Cancer isn't a switch that flips. It's a slow failure of maintenance systems that, in many cases, you can actively support. Here's what's interesting. The research from the last decade isn't about exotic interventions. It's about conditions. Specifically, the biological conditions that either allow cellular damage to accumulate or help your body catch and correct it before it becomes something serious. There are 5 of these conditions. They're interconnected. And the way most people over 55 are living right now is quietly undermining all 5. Number 1. Hydration strategies for lymphatic flow and cellular vitality. The one nobody takes seriously enough. Start here, because this one gets dismissed the most, and that dismissal has real consequences. Your lymphatic system is your body's cellular cleanup operation. It collects damaged cell fragments, metabolic waste, and DNA debris and moves them out. What most people don't realize is that this system has no pump of its own. It moves through pressure, primarily through hydration and physical movement. When you're low on water, the system stalls. Here's the aging wrinkle. The part of your brain that registers thirst becomes significantly less accurate after your mid-50s. You can be meaningfully dehydrated without any sensation telling you so. Research has found that adults over 60 routinely operate well below optimal cellular hydration. Not because they're negligent, but because their internal thirst signal has quietly drifted off. What this creates is a kind of low-grade biological stagnation. Damaged cells aren't being cleared efficiently. Inflammation, the kind that builds slowly and silently, starts to accumulate. And chronic inflammation at the cellular level is one of the better established precursors to certain cancers, particularly in the colon, bladder, and kidneys. The correction is almost offensively simple. A large glass of cold or room temperature filtered water first thing in the morning, before anything else, before coffee, before food, before screens. Pair it with 10 minutes of light movement right after. Even just walking through your house, because movement activates lymphatic flow in a way that compounds the clearing effect meaningfully. If you want to add something to the water, fresh lemon works. The compounds in lemon peel have their own biological relevance, which we'll get to. Number 2. The microbiome engine, gut health, and systemic maintenance. This content is for informational purposes only and is not medical advice. Consult a qualified healthcare professional for any health concerns. What a 67-year-old gut can tell you. Here's something most people don't think about as a cancer risk: your gut wall. After around age 60, the lining of your intestines becomes gradually more permeable. Bacterial byproducts that are normally contained inside your digestive tract start leaking into your bloodstream in small amounts. Your immune system reads these as signals of infection or damage. The resulting inflammatory response is subtle. You won't feel it, but it's systemic, persistent, and over time it creates exactly the kind of tissue environment where precancerous changes are more likely to take hold. The antidote is microbial. Naturally fermented foods, real yogurt with live cultures, kefir, kimchi, properly fermented sauerkraut, miso, introduce and support the bacterial populations that produce something called butyrate. Butyrate is a short-chain fatty acid that does something remarkable. It signals cells in the colon that are behaving abnormally to self-destruct before they can cause damage. That's not a metaphor, that's the actual mechanism. It triggers a process called apoptosis, essentially instructing damaged cells to exit before the situation escalates. A 2021 Stanford study found that adults who ate high-fermented food diets showed measurable reductions in 19 specific inflammatory proteins tied to cancer progression. The microbiome diversity improvement was significant enough that researchers described it as one of the fastest dietary interventions they'd observed. 2 things to know about implementation. First, pasteurized fermented foods don't count. The heating kills the cultures. Look for live and active cultures on the label. Second, pairing fermented foods with prebiotic-rich foods, garlic, leaks slightly underripe bananas, feeds the bacteria you're introducing, and extends the benefit considerably. Number 3. Metabolic engineering, the biology of therapeutic walking. Walking isn't exercise, it's metabolic engineering. Most people think of walking as the gentler, less serious version of real exercise. The research suggests that framing is missing the point entirely. Here's the biology. Cancer cells have an unusual metabolic dependency. They rely almost exclusively on glucose as fuel. They're significantly less capable of using oxygen for energy compared to healthy cells. This was first documented by a biochemist in the 1930s and has been confirmed extensively since. What it means practically is that sustained moderate aerobic activity, the kind that gets your heart working harder but doesn't leave you gasping, does two things that are directly hostile to cancer cell survival. It pulls glucose out of circulation and it floods your tissues with oxygenated blood. A meta-analysis that looked at data from over 1 million adults found 30 to 40+% reductions in risk for several major cancer types associated with regular moderate physical activity. These aren't small signals in the noise. They're consistent, large effects across huge populations. There's an additional layer for people over 65. Your mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside your cells, decline in both number and function with age. Mitochondrial deterioration is increasingly understood as a driver not just of fatigue and aging, but of cancer progression. Sustained moderate walking is one of the few interventions with solid evidence for stimulating new mitochondrial growth. Your body responds to the demand by building more capacity. What makes this metabolic walking rather than just a stroll is specificity. 30 to 45 continuous minutes at a pace where conversation is possible but singing isn't, 5 or more days per week. Morning works better than evening for the cancer prevention mechanism because movement before your first meal amplifies the glucose-depleting effect. Combine it with morning sunlight, which we'll return to, because the combination reaches deeper than either alone. Number 4. Sulforaphane, the NRF2 master switch for DNA repair. The preparation detail. Nobody tells you. There's a compound in broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, and cauliflower that has attracted serious scientific attention for cancer prevention. It's called sulforaphane, and the reason most people aren't getting its benefits isn't that they're avoiding vegetables. It's because of how those vegetables are prepared. Sulforaphane isn't sitting in broccoli waiting to be absorbed. It's produced through a chemical reaction that happens when you chop or chew the vegetable, activating an enzyme that converts a precursor compound into the active form. The problem? That enzyme is heat sensitive. Cooking above about 140 degrees Fahrenheit destroys it. Fully cooked broccoli delivers very little usable sulforaphane. The practical fix is straightforward. Chop or lightly crush broccoli first. Let it sit for 40 minutes before applying any heat. Then, steam briefly. No more than 3 or 4 minutes. This gives the enzyme reaction time to complete before heat renders the enzyme inactive. The active sulforaphane you've already created survives light steaming. You've essentially locked in the benefit before cooking begins. Broccoli sprouts, the immature seedlings, not the full vegetable, deliver dramatically higher concentrations of the precursor compound per gram. Half a cup of raw sprouts daily is worth considerably more than a full cup of overcooked mature broccoli. Why does this matter for aging biology specifically? Sulforaphane activates a cellular pathway called NRF2, which functions as a master regulator of DNA repair and detoxification. This pathway naturally declines significantly between ages 50 and 70. What the research has found is that consistent sulforaphane intake essentially reactivates it. Add raw mustard seed powder or raw radish to cooked cruciferous vegetables. They're rich in the active enzyme, and you can partially compensate for what cooking removed. Number 5. The nightly guardian, sleep, melatonin, and immune defense. The mechanism that runs at night. Sleep is the most underrated item on this list. And the gap between what the research shows and what most adults over 60 are actually doing is significant. During deep sleep, specifically the slow wave stages, your body runs two processes that are directly relevant to cancer risk. The first is a waste clearance system in the brain that flushes toxic proteins and cellular debris using cerebrospinal fluid. The second is peak melatonin production. Most people think of melatonin as a sleep aid. That undersells it substantially. Melatonin is also one of the most potent antioxidants your body produces internally, and crucially, it actively inhibits the process by which tumors build the new blood vessels they need to grow. It also mobilizes natural killer cells, the immune system's dedicated cancer detection force. Here's the aging reality. Melatonin production drops by roughly 70% between ages 40 and 70. Most adults over 65 are producing negligible amounts during sleep. The anti-cancer mechanism that runs nightly is, for many older adults, barely functioning. Research has classified chronic sleep disruption as a probable carcinogen, not a risk factor, a carcinogen, placing it in the same category as certain industrial chemicals. Adults over 60 sleeping fewer than 6 hours per night consistently show cancer mortality rates significantly higher than those sleeping 7 to 8.5 hours. The protocol that actually moves the needle, consistent bedtime and wake time, non-negotiable even on weekends. Your circadian rhythm doesn't observe weekends. Complete darkness in the bedroom because even low-level light suppresses melatonin. Room temperature between 65 and 68 degrees. No food within 3 hours of sleep because digestion competes with the cellular repair work that needs to happen overnight. Screens off at least 90 minutes before bed. Tart cherry juice at around 8 p.m. provides natural melatonin precursors without pharmaceutical supplementation. The synergy that ties the whole system together, morning sunlight exposure, it anchors your circadian clock, which directly governs evening melatonin output. The same walk you're taking for glucose depletion, if done in natural morning light, is simultaneously calibrating the system that will protect you at night. These habits aren't separate line items, they're the same loop. The point. None of this is exotic. There's no expensive supplement here. No protocol that requires a specialist. No intervention that costs more than a glass of water and a consistent bedtime. What cancer risk reduction actually looks like at the biological level is a well-hydrated lymphatic system, a healthy gut-lining tissues that aren't glucose-saturated, and oxygen-deprived functional DNA repair mechanisms, and a sleep architecture that gives your immune system time to do its job every night. Your body was built to maintain itself. These habits are the conditions under which that maintenance actually happens. The question is whether the way you're living right now is supporting that system or quietly eroding it, and that's a question with an answer you can change starting tomorrow morning.